Hey, what's going on? This is Dan from Between the Buried and Me, and you're watching 8747 Productions.
What's up, everybody? It's Big Bryan here, 8747 Productions, and we're sitting here with Dan from Between the Buried and Me. Between the Buried and Me is a band out of North Carolina, and they've been on pretty much a mission since they got started to redefine the limits of what can be done musically. They don't stop, they're unrelentless, and they go through and put together a whole series of different musical mantras that just come together. What we're going to witness here in a few hours tonight. We're really excited. Welcome to Salt Lake City.
Thank you so much.
Parallax II. When you wrote the Parallax, did you ever think that you would continue in and do a Parallax II?
Yes. Yeah, that was the initial idea. You know, we post Victory Records, after the Great Misdirect, we had intended to do an EP. That was just an idea that we had. And,
right.
And that was before Metal Blade was in the picture or anything. We thought maybe we'd just do it ourselves. And then they came in the picture, and then there was this story floating around, and we thought it was a good opportunity to kind of do something that was a little bit more expansive than we'd been able to do on records in the past, you know, within the confines of 70 minutes or whatever. And
right.
Between the EP and the full length, it's over 100 minutes, you know, that we get to tell this weird story. So
cool. I think with what you guys do, it reminds me a little bit of like Coheed and Cambria, and they have their graphic novels that go along with the music. Do you guys ever consider doing anything like that, or is? Oh
yeah, we're not that artistically gifted to be able to pull something off like that. But it would be interesting. I mean, the record is pretty dense in concept, and we put out kind of like a little storybook that kind of helps like tell the story a little bit, and we did it in like real limited quantities or whatever. But I always love the idea of being able to take something like your one format, your record or whatever, and being able to expand on it, you know, into other type of things, you know,
right.
Especially if you have something that's a cohesive, interesting kind of story.
Right. Well, you know, with the way that record sales have gone, and you know, people aren't really going out and purchasing the physical album as much as they used to be. So anything I think you guys can do to, you know, get people interested in buying stuff always helps what you're doing.
Well, we're definitely, I mean, you know, the record came out a year ago now, and we're just now finally able to play the whole thing live. And I almost said later in the year, but it is pretty late in the year. Sometime next year in 2014, we're going to work on a DVD of, you know, performance of the whole album and a whole bunch of extra stuff. So that, you know, kind of going along with what you were saying, like having more than just the record. We're kind of like using this kind of like couple year window as an opportunity to, you know, kind of space that out. You know, we had the record, and then we tour on it for a while, and then we get to put out, you know, a DVD of it.
So you brought up something. You guys are playing through the whole record, and the goal of the show tonight is to play through the whole thing nonstop. What does that do to you as a musician? I mean, does it take all your energy out? I mean, how are you when you leave the stage?
Well, with this record, it's not so bad. We're about 2 weeks into it now, and it's really good. You know, like it took a couple shows for it to feel normal and feel just kind of natural and feel like we weren't, you know, just making the same mistakes. You know. And at this point, honestly, like, the set goes by pretty fast, and there's a good kind of ebb and flow throughout the record. You know, after the first chunk of, you know, say 3 songs or whatever, it kind of comes down for a few tracks, a few smaller songs, and then, you know, kind of comes back up into a really brutal kind of like 3-song suite between Telos, Bloom, and Melting City. That's the most brutal part of the set. Basically from halfway through Telos until halfway through Melting City, there's no chance to really take a break or, you know, get a sip of water or anything. So that's the toughest part of the set. But honestly, you know, I always leave the stage feeling pretty great.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's really, you know, I mean, I applaud you guys for doing that. And a lot of bands are out there writing very, concept-driven albums, let alone going and playing every song off it. They might do a concept album and play like 1, 2, 3 of the songs, but you guys actually go out and deliver.
Well, we're very influenced by, groups from the 70s, and, Pink Floyd would go out on tour, and they would do, they would do all of Dark Side of the Moon, and then come out and encore with, all of Wish You Were Here or something,
Right.
That's how that music was written. It was written as one whole thing, and that's kind of what we did.
It was an album. I applaud you guys again for that, because a lot of people aren't writing albums, they're writing singles, and then they're kind of filling in a lot of garbage in between. But I kind of look at the way that you guys approach writing music is, everyone has the very basic verse, pre-chorus, chorus, chorus, or maybe, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, out. You guys write music more in like a classical spectrum of you have movements, you have themes, and you have little sonatas and dances within all your music. Is that how you approach it? Sort of.
We're very big on having like variations of themes, and when you write like an album like The Great Misdirect was not concept driven. It was 5 or 6 tracks. Working in that format, it's kind of fun because when you work track to track or whatever, you can kind of do a lot within it. With less. So a song like Obfuscation off that record has like three or four different variations of the chorus. Every time through, it's something completely different. Whether it's a full band thing where Tommy's singing and doing his thing behind us all playing, or if it's an instrumental thing with, like 3 counterpoint melodies going. It's a very fun way to write. Doing this record, then, when you get to expand it over a whole record, we're trying to do that same idea within each song. But then you also have the time and just the space allotment throughout the record to be able to bring parts back in different variation, in different form. And so there's the big chorus that ends Astral Body that is, again, a big chorus in a Silent Flight Parliament, and it's totally stripped down, and it's one of my favorite parts of the record. And when it hits live, it feels kind of like, like we've come full circle, and now we're here.
Right.
And that's a good way to write. Instead of like if I listen to albums in the past, like Alaska and before and stuff, it's just a lot of parts.
Right.
And there's we're too old for that now. No, but you have to learn. You learn from each record, and especially with this album and The Great Misdirect, I would say we were more conscious and more aware of what was happening within the song, what the kind of core of it was, and the purpose and where it was going. And instead of being like, oh, and then we could go into like, this riff because this riff sounds cool. It's like it has a purpose. Everything that's in there.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're gonna take a quick break right here. We'll come back in just a minute with Dan from Between the Buried and Me. This is Big Bryan. We'll see you in just a minute.